So should we not have belief in ourselves that we are capable of accomplishing goals or dreams?
I mean, so I think you should learn, right? And I know this is like running contrary to some of the language that you use. I don't think we end up in the same place.
Yeah.
But I think just learn, try. Well, okay, you don't believe in yourself. So what? You do believe in yourself. So what? Try.
Act either way.
Act, exactly.
Yeah.
Be independent of all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because what is it that correlates with accomplishment? What is it correlates with success? It's action. So we use belief, right? So this is why it's important to
take action.
Exactly. Right? So belief helps us take action sometimes. But this is where it's like we can do whatever kind of mental gymnastics you want to end up with action.
Take action either way, whether you believe it or not.
Whether you believe it, whether you have goal, whatever, right? Let's get to the root of action. And all of psychiatry and psychology and stuff is all these ways of helping people act. Karma, the actions that you take. Here's something really interesting. What a lot of people don't realize about karma. 99% of karma is not visible. 99% of karma happens in here. When you have a thought, how do you respond to that thought? That is technically an action. Oh my God. So this morning, I was tired. I've been working here for 9 days, and I didn't want to go to the gym. So I didn't go to the gym. And then it's a little bit cold outside, but I was like, you know what? I normally swim about 20 laps. And so it's like, I don't feel like swimming 20 laps, but I'm going to swim 5. I felt like swimming 0.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just going to get in the water. I'm going to swim 5 laps and then I'm done. I got into the water. It was awful.
You're like, I want to get out.
I want to get out. I felt really tired. I'm kind of out of shape and like haven't had a great schedule. But like the way that we respond to ourselves, that's what forms our destiny. Everyone thinks karma is our actions out here. It's not the most. Think about how many actions do you take in your head every single day?
Thousands.
How do you respond? Oh, I want to eat this. Okay, I'm going to eat it. Oh, I want to pull out my phone. I'm going to pull out my phone. That mental action, okay, let me pull out my phone, costs you 60 minutes of your day. A 30-second distraction costs you an hour. The way that we respond to the impulses in our mind, this is the most important action. I believe I can't do it. Are you going to listen to that belief? This is why like, oh, believe in yourself, not believe. That's not the question. Question is, when you believe something, how do you respond to your beliefs?
Yeah.
Do I have a goal? Do I not have a goal? Not the important question. When you have a setback in your goal, how do you respond to that? The problem is that most human beings on the planet react. They don't respond. Automatic. There isn't awareness of what's going on. There isn't intention. And pay attention to your mind. You'll be stunned. There's a beautiful exercise that I offer people. Pay attention to how many thoughts you have that you've had before. So the crazy thing that a lot of people don't realize is most of their thinking is habits. It's not even logical. It's not real.
It's automatic.
It's just automatic.
It's on repeat.
It's on repeat. I'm a loser. This won't work. I can do it. And it's not that these thoughts are good or bad.
Yeah.
Right? And I appreciate the perspective.
It's not good or bad, right or wrong. It's is it serving you in an empowering way? Or is it helping you to feel more harmony or not?
I mean, I think if people want to be rich and successful, they should ask those questions. You are better at that, Lewis, than I am. What I'm about is not even the goal of all of that stuff. Is it empowering or not empowering? I'm a step away from that. Just understand. So in Sanskrit, they have the saying that avidya is the source of dukkha. Ignorance is the source of suffering. And this is something as a psychiatrist I think is very true. Most of our suffering comes from not knowing what is going on. Why is this happening?
Or not being aware.
Not being aware.
Yeah.
So much of our suffering in life comes from our reactions and our automatic patterns. I see this all the time. So, can I use profanity?
Sure.
Okay. So one of my clients came to me and asked me, Dr. K, I don't know why I only attract boys. And we talked about it for a little bit, and we realized you attract everybody.
You choose.
place.
Yeah. Lots of great people
Right?
come up to you, but you're not attracted to them.
And this is what's so cool. Like people don't realize when they're suffering in life and life feels hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked with people who have had polysubstance addictions from the age of 9.
Oh,
And then you live this way for 19 years and you think there's no way you can get better. You're at the age of 28. You've been struggling with substances for 19 years. Relatively young, but your whole experience has been struggling with this. And you think it's impossible, but you just don't understand yourself. You don't understand how you are responding to your impulses. You don't understand why you're using these substances, that you're trying to run away from something that is inside you. And you can try to control your behaviors as much as you want. But as long as that black flame, that like tar is inside you, no way that you're going to control your behavior. So understand yourself first. It's not for me to say you should do this or don't do this, or I can teach you how. I can't tell you what direction. That's for you to figure out. You decide for yourself. Why are you so lazy? You don't want all the answers from me. Go and explore yourself.
mm-hmm.
Pay attention to your mental actions. Pay attention to the way that you respond to the things around you. I think it was Carl Jung who said, I forget exactly what the quote is, but something about, until we make our unconscious conscious, we will look at our lives and we'll think it's destiny, even when it's in our control. I'm butchering the quote, but it's crazy how much of our life we actually control, but we just have no awareness of it.
How much of our life do we control?
All of the important parts.
How much of our thoughts do we control?
None.
We don't control our thoughts?
No, the mind generates thoughts.
How much do we control our mind?
None.
So do we have any control over our thinking or our mind?
We have control over the way that we respond to
the
mind.
Thought.
That's all we control.
Do we generate a thought, or is a thought generated automatically?
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking you're touching my leg. Yeah.
Did you have control over that? The generation of that thought?
Of you touching me?
The generation of the
I was
thought.
thinking that happened.
Can you control that happened?
I can think a different thought when it happens. I can shift the thinking. I can know that's happening and also think about something else.
Right. So,
but it's
all
that's
you can
happening.
control. So the mind. I mean, this is the problem: is we can't. Everyone thinks we can control the mind, and they try.
Yeah.
It's like trying to swim up a waterfall. So when I do psychotherapy with a patient, let's say I've got a patient who's got suicidal ideation, so they want to kill themselves every single day. So they come in, and I can't control their thoughts. They can't control their thoughts. They don't want to be suicidal, but the thought comes. Okay. So then they don't control their thoughts, but as we do work, we change the thoughts that are automatically generated in their mind.
You do?
Yes, right.
By responding to the thought differently when it comes in?
I talk to them in certain ways. I say certain things to them. And then as I say something, this is why a good psychiatrist is really important, right? So the whole point of a good psychiatrist is that they can change your mind. You come in, you're suicidal. I engage in an evidence-based practice. And I took this principle and turned it into a coaching program because I thought, hey, we're doing all this stuff for people who are suicidal. Why aren't we doing all this stuff for people who procrastinate, who are stuck, who want to write fiction? We can take these evidence-based techniques because someone comes into my office, and there are thousands of studies. That's why psychiatry is an evidence-based practice. They're coming into my thought. There's certain things that I can say, certain things that I can do that will alter their thinking.
Really?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Right? So you'll learn this soon enough, but I mean, you're married, but
yeah.
So, your wife has certain thoughts in her head. She's upset. And you can do things to alter the pattern of her thinking.
Sure.
Right?
Yes.
You can say, oh, tell me what's wrong.
Right.
I love you.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Hug her.
Or you can tell her how she can fix all of her problems.
Yeah.
Right? And so here's the really wild thing. We as human beings can affect the human beings around us. We can affect their thinking.
Yes.
Which means, by definition, her thinking is being shaped by who?
Me.
Which means that from her mind, her thoughts are being generated by the people around her.
And her
you actually don't control her. She doesn't control her thoughts. You control her thoughts, which is wild.
And she controls my thoughts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
or influences them. Yeah.
Influences them. Yeah. There are other influences,
Yes.
right? So let's be clear. First thing is that thoughts are generated for you. That's why advertising is a thing. Because they figured out if I can generate this thought in your head
You'll take
over and over,
action.
then you'll take action. So everyone is doing thought control. And this idea that, oh, I can control my thoughts, bro, you cannot.
So as a Harvard-trained psychiatrist then, knowing that, what do you do to have better, I don't want to say control, but better awareness or a handle around the thoughts in your own mind
Okay.
that either support you or don't support you in your life?
Yeah. So what we do control is the way we respond to our thoughts, the way we're aware of our thoughts. So I, for example, my ego.
And Viktor Frankl said, it's about stimulus and the space between the stimulus and response.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. So this is what a lot of people, so I'll give you a really interesting example of this. It's a bit tangential, but so here's the key thing with thoughts. The key thing that we want to do is have distance from them, which is beautiful, what you said. So I'll give you a good example of this. If we look at mental illness and we rank the severity of mental illness, what we find is the worst mental illness has no space between stimulus and response. So when someone has psychosis or is delusional, I've had patients who will say, there is an electronic device in my brain that is shaping my thoughts. This sentence that they say is a thought in their head, but there is no space between this is a thought and this is reality.
They can't separate them
they
observing themselves, thinking or doing.
Exactly, right? So the thought is real.
It's delusional.
It's delusional. And the nature of delusion is when you believe your thoughts are real.
Yes.
Literally. And I'm going to show you this beautiful scale. So there's psychosis, which is the worst. Then there's things like, let's say you have a mood disorder where I think I'm a loser, I'm pathetic, I'm all this, my family would be better off without me.
Or a level of depression. Or
level of depression, right? Yeah. So as people become really depressed, they believe their thoughts. There's no space between thoughts and anything else. Then as they start to get a little bit better, okay, like, yeah, I feel this way. And there are times that I think my family would be better without me. But, I'm beginning to see, okay, maybe that's not the case. Then you're conflicted. Now there's a little bit of space between those two things. Another good example of this is when you have a panic attack. You don't think you are dying. Then, less severe than panic disorder is like a generalized anxiety disorder. Right? It's not one-to-one. You can have bad generalized anxiety disorder. But when your anxiety is less bad, then you're, okay, like I'm anxious about this, but it may not, I think this is going to happen. Or if I have OCD, my anxiety is something I believe. Unless I flick off the light switch 7 times, my house is going to burn down. I believe that. There's no space between thought and belief. It's one and the same. And then I get anxious, right? Oh, I think this could happen, but I acknowledge maybe it won't happen. And then we get to the normal state of mind, which is like, okay, I have thoughts. I believe most of them. I don't believe them. And then we get to you, which is you are very good at training yourself to disbelieve particular thoughts. That's what all these questions are. How do you empower yourself? Because you have disempowering thoughts and you choose not to believe them.
Or not let them stop me from taking actions in my life that I think are better actions than worse actions.
Exactly. So, but that's the key thing there is that the thought comes up, oh, hey, Lewis, can I tell you something, bro? You're 42, right? You're going to be 44, 45 when you compete in the Olympics.
Yeah. Good luck.
How many, what do you think about that? Do you think that's going to work out? Does your mind ever tell you, hey, bro, this is like, you're competing against 20-year-olds?
Yeah. If you're asking me personally, I think of, man, what about this story that I will get to share?
So see the way
when this works out or if this works out. So either way, if it doesn't work out, the story of pursuing something that you care about. So
that's beautiful. So you're doing some cool mental jujitsu. Yes. You're like a matador. You didn't even address my question.
Olé.
So
Olé.
Here's the scary thing. If you go back and you watch this and you look at your face, that fear is in you. I saw it in your face.
Sure. There's a level of like, I think it's not worth going for unless there's something that's all of the way that you respond. If it's easy, why would I go for it?
The way you respond to your thoughts, the way you disbelieve your thoughts. You know it's hard. I know it's hard. I can say it to you. It hurts to hear it. And you say,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
The way you respond to your thoughts, disbelieving your thoughts, moving away from your thoughts. So this is the spectrum of thinking.
Yeah, it's almost like being a coach it's like seeing yourself as a coach rather than being the critic
Very
with
good.
the thought, right? It's
Very
like,
good.
it's rather like, I am this thought. There's no separation of the thought. It's like, no, this is me. If I'm thinking it, it's my identity. That's why I wanted to start with identity of like, if that's who you're identifying as and holding on to it rather than saying, all right, it's a thought coming in. Let me distance myself and kind of observe it. And do I want to be the critic that continues to reinforce that thought? Or I can hold it there and still take actions and coach myself through it. And that's kind of the process.
Beautiful, right? So if you tunnel down into the precision of what you're doing, you are changing the way that you respond to your thoughts. Yeah. And now here's the really cool and tricky thing. As you change the way that you respond to your thoughts will change.
Yes.
But you did not create them.
No. Oh, really? So we don't create our thoughts.
No, all we do is, so think about your mind like a garden. We weed, right? So we don't react to that thought. We don't give in to that thought. And over time it will wither. And then as certain thoughts, because I don't know if this makes sense. The first moment you started believing in yourself was not something you had to choose. What matters is when you had that thought of self-belief, how did you respond to it? You protected it. You got around it. You're like, grow, baby, grow.
Yeah.
Right? You cultivate. When you talk about an empowering mindset, what is the mechanism of an empowering mindset? It is responding to certain thoughts in a particular way, but you still don't control them. So over time,
because there could be a negative thought comes in, there could be something else, but it's what you nurture will
exactly.
grow. Yeah.
So this is what's really interesting. You know, I had a patient who was afraid that her fiance was cheating on him. I mean, sorry, on her. And so she was like, I want to check your text messages. And so she thought to herself, if I check his text messages, then I'll know that I can trust him. But as she feels the anxiety, she checks his text. And she feels reassured. But the next day, when she feels anxious,
let me check again.
Let me check again. Because her brain is learning that the antidote to anxiety is to check it. This is really important to understand. Whatever we feed in the mind grows. We don't control it, but we choose what we feed and we choose what we don't feed. We get to control action. We get to control the way we respond. But we don't even get to control what thought comes next.
Gosh.
Fingers crossed.
Now you hope that when you're nurturing and watering a thought, that thought will continue to expand and develop and grow more frequently and will pop up in your mind.
That's what we get to control, right? Yeah. So that there's tons of neuroscience evidence for that. The neurons that fire together, wire together. We have habitual patterns of thinking, right? So when we have, and then we can wire our brain to generate thoughts. And literally the goal of my job is to help someone wire their brain so that their brain generates the right thoughts. But I want to be precise here. That doesn't mean you get to control what you think. You can simply plant your garden in a certain way.
That's interesting. So it's almost like, tell me if I'm wrong here, but what I'm hearing you say is your mind is a blank canvas or it's a desert. And you can start to respond to the thoughts that come to you and hopefully build a rainforest around you or a garden or some type of scenic thing that supports your mind in a more beautiful way.
Spot on with the general. Here's the key difference, I would say. Your mind is an untended garden. It's not a desert. It's not blank. Because if you think about it, your whole life, you've been giving into certain impulses. You've allowed weeds to grow out of control.
Sure. Let's say you're a blank canvas when you were born then, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
But at the point of watching this, if you're in your 20s, 30s, or 40s, or 50s, your mind is an untended garden.
Absolutely, right?
And there might be some beautiful things, and there might be a bunch of rocks that you don't want. And it's figuring out how to tend to the beautiful things to create more harmony and peace inside of you.
Yeah.
And things that will support your life rather than hold you down. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoy this and you want more inspirational content, make sure to click the subscribe button below and click right here to watch what's coming next.